Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 1 of Total Drama Island 2023. For those who aren't in the know, Total Drama Island started a long time ago, and it's taken many different shapes and forms. It went from Island to Total Drama Action to World Tour, and so on and so forth. We semi recently reacted to the most recent season, which was still quite a while back, um, which was Total Drama The Redonkulous Race. Technically, it was considered a spin off, even though in reality it's just another season. It just didn't have the same host. Um, Chris McLean was gone, and instead they had Don. And Don was a good host, and the contestants were good. There were even contestants from previous Total Drama seasons. But this time we're going back to basics. This is a new series, but it, to my knowledge, does take place within the continuity and is the most recent. We have Chris back as host with Chef Hatchet back as well. And to my knowledge, they're the only returning characters. All the campers are new. We are returning to the island for the first time in a long ass time. And it's going to be more akin to the classic series than a lot of the newer stuff has been. I've seen what some of the characters look like because I've seen like some promotional images and stuff. I don't remember what most of them look like though. I do remember there's like this goth girl in it. And you know I like the goths in Redonkulous Race, so that's always a bit of a positive view on it. But we also have a new voice for Chris. I believe Chef Hatchet's voice is the same. By the way, he's the same actor who... Excuse me. He's the same actor who recently played Sonic in that newer Netflix series. But yeah, I believe he's back. But Chris has a new voice, and I couldn't exactly figure out why. I saw a few conflicting things about it, and nothing I saw seemed to exactly add up. But for some reason, and I guess due to some kind of drama, that's all I could really nail down. The original voice of Chris was replaced, and I have heard some people saying that it's bad. Some people are complaining about it, but there are others I've seen who are saying like it's a serviceable impression. So it's like it'll probably be noticeable. It probably will. But I'm just going to let it happen at this point. No use dwelling on it. It's been a long time anyway, so it's like a new VA at this point. It's like isn't too out of the question for a series like this. But yeah, I'm just more interested in what's going to happen, and as long as Chris's personality remains the same, we won't have a repeat of Stryker in Hell of a Boss recently. As long as his personality remains the same, that's more important. Because we want Chris to be an absolute shit show. Like, that is what we love about Chris. He is the worst human being possible. Um, but yeah. In past seasons, we've always had characters who were, like, nicer than others. We've always had characters who were more of the villains. And so I'm wondering, like, how distinct that's going to be this time. Is it going to be as, like, by the books as it has been in the last time, where it's like the villains are just, oh yeah, they're just terrible people? Or is it going to be a little more nuanced, I wonder? Because it has been, again, a long time since the last season has come out. And this is a modern reboot. And let's be honest, a lot of people and a lot of media nowadays really love more nuanced villains. I, for one, am fine with villains who are just evil for the sake of being evil, who are just shitbags. That's fine too. I do love a good nuanced villain, though. It just depends on how they handle it, and I'm definitely interested to see. I expect a lot of the same kinds of ridiculous shenanigans and over the top humor. I expect, let's be honest, some stereotyping with some of the character archetypes, but that's honestly part of the appeal of this series. It's like making fun of people in a very respectable way, though. Weirdly enough, it's like it never goes to the point where it's like, oh yeah, these people are just terrible. No, it's just like we're just gonna poke fun at them. We're just gonna have fun with this. Like for example, with the last season with Redonkulous Race, when they poke fun at the vegans and all, they're not saying vegans are necessarily bad. They're not saying vegans are wrong for their ideas. They're just poking fun at them. It never like hates on them that hard. um, but yeah, I'm very excited for this, especially after how fun it was to react to Redonkulous Race. Now this season is going to have a lot less episodes, like half the episodes of Redonkulous Race, I believe, and it also technically has less contestants, because Redonkulous Race had a lot due to the team aspect of it. So it's gonna get I'm gonna have to get used to the fact that this is gonna be over a lot quicker than Redonkulous Race, but I think we'll be fine. I just wonder how the eliminations are gonna work. Are we gonna have enough contestants where double eliminations will be necessary? I'm just wondering exactly how that's all going to play out. And as we go, I'll determine my favorites and everything. I'll probably have an initial favorite, someone who I just like cling onto at the beginning, but then there will also probably be characters who grow more on me as it goes, just like in Redonkulous Race. Because I didn't like the sisters at the beginning in Redonkulous Race. I can't think of their names right now. But I didn't like them at the beginning, but at the end, I really did. Basically, after What's-Her-Face and Noah began dating, it's like after that, it's like I started to like them a lot more because they became more likable to me. The Goths I did like from the beginning, to be fair. And they remained favorites till the end, so hey. And there will probably be a contestant or two I just can't stand. It's very, very probable. That's just how it goes. And it might not be the same as yours. My favorite might not be the same as your favorite. My hated contestant might not be the same as yours. Just how it tends to go sometimes. Because, believe me, it's like, can't stand Heather, but a lot of people really liked Heather for some reason. I do not know why, but Heather actually has had a fan base. I mean, she's entertaining, but she's very much a piece of shit. And she's not the only one. I believe Alejandro was kind of shitty, too. He's the one who also had kind of a tragic backstory, I believe. But it didn't absolve him of any of his wrongdoing or anything either. So it's like, okay. I think that was Alejandro. That was Alejandro, right? It's been a long time since I've seen the earlier seasons, so. Anyway, we're going to get on with this because I'm very excited to see this. I'm very excited to see what we have in store for this new season, to see if it really lives up to the classic iterations of this series. So, excuse me. That being said, let's get going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I looked it up, and it's unfortunately not Tara Strong. It really does sound like her. But it's actually Katie Griffin, who was the second voice of Alex in Totally Spies. She was also in The Redonkulous Race as the characters of Mary and Miles. Mary, I believe, was the LARPer girl, who was only in the first episode because they got eliminated right away. And Miles, I want to say, is one of the vegans. But yeah, she was those two characters in Redonkulous Race. She was also just in various other things. Apparently she was in the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs series, which I didn't even know it had a series. But she played Sam Sparks in that, so that's interesting. She was in Braceface, which that's just hearing that title is a blast from the past. She was a couple characters in 16, which is sort of a sister series of Total Drama. And she's also very well known for being the Canadian English voice of Sailor Mars from Sailor Moon. So that's pretty notable, I would say. She's other characters in Totally Spies as well, by the way, including Mindy, who is like notable antagonist and everything. So she was already in Totally Spies even before she took over as the second voice of Alex. But yeah. So just little fun facts there. But her voice in this sounds so much like a Tara Strong voice. That's why I was like convinced. It's like she really sounded like Tara Strong. Like I really believe that. Anyways, though, so this was a pretty good start. It's what I would expect. Half of this episode is dedicated to introducing our contestants. The other half is the first challenge. It's like not too much is put into it. We're still learning everything. I still am gonna take a while to get their names down. Hell, it might take till the end of the season, knowing me. It's just there's a lot of characters to keep track of, and with names, I already have an issue with that. Lauren is so far my favorite, but that's really honestly a safe bet anyone could have made. Like spooky goth girls, it's like, yeah, that's kind of my thing. It's like that's a trope I tend to enjoy. If you've watched my Redonkulous Race reactions, you would definitely know that. I liked the goths very much so, and yeah, so it's a safe bet that, of course, I would like Lauren a lot. But there's other characters, too. The gay guy so far, he's like... He's a good character for me at the moment. And there's a few others I'm kind of, like, enjoying. The girl who's kind of, like, writing down all of the research about the kids of her generation and all. It's like, okay, I kind of dig that. I think that's funny. And so on and so forth. It's like, again, it's brand new. I have to get used to these characters a little more. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised they got rid of, they eliminated the pretty boy first. But I mean, once we find out why, it kind of makes sense. Because of the gay guy convincing everyone he's too big of a threat and he needs to go. And honestly, that's smart. That is a genuinely smart strategy. Getting rid of your biggest competition is valid. Like, I understand the reasoning for that. But it's still surprising for this show, because usually the hot ones do pretty well, even if they don't win. So I'm just surprised. Um, but we also had the ex couple who were both on here because, of course, they were. And we find out that the reason that she broke up with him was because he cut her brakes, which caused her to get into an accident, crashing into a pet store, which is a big fucking deal. Like the other contestants were kind of like making it out to be like this almost petty kind of like ridiculous reasoning, but it's like no, that's pretty fucking like reasonable. Like what? I'm sorry. Like even if like yeah, they were a couple who were involved in like these prank streams and everything and doing these stunts and whatnot. It's like you don't do something like that without the person having knowledge of it. Doing that without their knowledge and consent is dangerous. Like she could have died if that had gone much more wrong. Like seriously. That's not okay. Even if it was for one of your little stunt things, it's like that doesn't make it okay. And obviously, you know, that then entire thing, the three guys and a girl in a house or whatever they fucking called it. Obviously, we understand that they're supposed to be making fun of, you know, prank or stunt show or streams or shows or channels or whatnot on social media, online, on stuff like YouTube and whatnot. You know, the stunt and prank channels that very often would take it too far back in the day. The ones that would go and do things that honestly were not okay, which unfortunately happened a lot. There were a lot of there was like there were a couple prank channels that like faked people's deaths, faked kidnapping their friends and murder and shit. And it's like that's not a prank. That's uh so it's clearly making fun of that kind of thing. We also have the big influencer who had all the phones. We have the celebrity woman who's very much focused on her appearance and all. It's like it's still touching on tropes, but more modern tropes. But there are some that are you could say classics, like the Canadian trope, which again, Canadian production, they're making fun of themselves. It's like, see, you could see where their humor's at. The fact that they can make fun of themselves as well is really cool. Um, it's always great when a comedian or a comedic show can like poke fun at itself, can like um just be self deprecating like that. Um, it's like there's a lot of different like jokes and tropes about Canadians. Obviously, the being too nice thing wouldn't necessarily be the best trope to use here. So instead, they go with like the kind of airheaded hockey nuts and everything. And it's like okay, that's fun. Again, they're not being mean with these tropes. They're just poking fun, and they're poking fun at themselves too. So hey, they 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 will take it on themselves as well. That's respectable. Um, yeah, it's just gonna take a bit to get used to them. This first challenge was fairly simple, even with the like murder hornets and everything. Um, the challenge altogether was fairly simple for total drama, so I assume they're gonna get more intense and more dangerous. And not that this wasn't dangerous or anything, but for a total drama thing, it was still fairly simple. Uh, I don't really have a favorite team or anything yet. I don't really have like a I don't really have a huge amount of heavy thoughts at the moment. There's not really too many characters I just can't stand. I think the only character right now that I can't stand is the quote unquote alpha male type guy. You know, the guy who's trying to pretend he's all that, but is in actuality just a poser ass weirdo. Like, the dude is an absolute disgrace to humanity. And it's like, he's not anything. But I get the joke again. It's like the joke with him, like, thinking he's an alpha male and, like, thinking he's hot shit. He's basically Andrew Tate. Except, a lot more transparent about how stupid he is. Well, I mean, Andrew Tate's pretty transparent about it. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I could see this dude doing something really terrible and really fucked up at some point, like possibly even assault. Um, I'm serious too. Like, this dude gives me those kind of vibes that he would be willing to do that because of his entire alpha male personality. But I'm also hoping he doesn't, because I just don't want to see that, which I think is pretty fair. We also have the survivalist girl who's just needlessly intense about everything, but also that's kind of fun. She almost reminds me of Ava, who I believe was in the first and the first couple seasons. Um, she kind of reminds me of her, just more specifically a survivalist. So that it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, Lauren is definitely my favorite right now, to nobody's surprise. Um, but there's a couple others I'm leaning towards, of course. It just depends on where it's going to go, how we see more of their personalities shine. Um, we're just going to have to see. We're just going to have to see. So, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Total Drama Island 2023? And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.